Hi, I'm Sue Fairchild, professional editor for the Christian market. I don't change voices, I make them louder, and here's how. Hi, today we're going to be talking about the different kinds of editing that you can do with your book. I just recently was at a writers conference and I did a class about the different types of editing and what different stages your book should go through editing wise. And I got a lot of questions and I was really surprised. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this video. So, when you are done writing your manuscript, the first thing that you should probably do is have someone close to you or a critique partner, a beta reader, an alpha reader read it first. That helps you to save a little bit of money before you go to the editing stage. Because when you go to the editor, they're going to pick out everything that might be wrong and they're going to charge you for that. If you run it through a critique group or a beta reader first, they will help you figure out all of those like little quirky things maybe that aren't working, or you use commas where you shouldn't, so that you can fix it before you send it to an editor. Okay, so that's going to save you money in order to do that. So after you've had like a couple of people look at it, and again, I'm not talking about your mom or your spouse or even a really best friend, unless your best friend is me, an editor, or an English teacher, or someone who is going to really give you honest feedback, honest critique. Okay. That is who you need to send it out to first. So I would suggest, if you've never shared your work with anyone, to find someone that you're comfortable with, but who also has skills to send it to first. You don't want to be hurt, like knife to the heart, okay, with your first editing project, but you do want honest feedback because that's going to save you money in the long run, okay? So that's first. Second, when you are looking for an editor, you're probably going to look first for a content editor or someone who's going to a substantive editor, okay? Because they're going to look at the project as a whole. They're going to look at, does your plot work? Does it fit the genre you're trying to write? What kind of character development issues you might have, or story development issues you might have? Maybe you don't have your story arc, your climax, you don't have an inciting incident. Stay tuned or follow my newsletter to figure out what all of those words are: inciting incident, climax, story arc, because I'm going to be doing videos about those later too and have them in my newsletter as well. So a content editor is going to kind of look at it as a whole. They're not going to worry about punctuation or even sentence structure or any kind of minute detail things. They're looking at the big picture. Okay. They're looking at it like 50,000 mile view. Okay. What totally your book is about, and does it work? Secondary, you might go through, okay, first, you might go through several content edits. It depends on how like well structured you are. Are you educating yourself on what makes a good story? Do you have your inciting incident, your hook? Do you have all of those things I talked about? If you're pretty good at that, you might only need one content edit. If you're not and you're a really new writer, you might need several content editors. You might need several content edits. You can use the same person or you can use different people. There's like a wide variety of things you can do, okay? Second, after you've got your story like honed down, it's a tight story, you have all of those points that you should have in a good story for your book, you're going to do a copy or a line edit. So copy and line edits, they're going line by line. They might still be pointing out some content issues. They might point out syntax issues, grammar issues, punctuation issues, sentence structure issues. Do you have any crutch words? Again, follow my newsletter so you know what all these things mean. And again, you might go through several copy or line edits. You can, again, use the same editor or you can use a different editor. Usually, your content editor and your line editor will not be the same person. Usually. I do both. Some editors do both. But some have niches and do their own thing. So you have to decide, do you want to use one editor through the whole process? Do you want to use different editors? That's kind of up to you. You have to do your research about that. Finally, right before you are ready to publish, and I mean right before you're ready to publish, is the proofread stage. Now, I hear a lot of people saying proofread. I don't think you know what this word means, okay? Proofread is not just, I'm just going to make sure there's all the punctuation's correct. That isn't what a proofreader does. A proofreader is looking at the very last stages of your manuscript. It has most of the time already been formatted. Most of the time, your chapter headings, all of your indents, all of your paragraph structure, everything is how it will look when you open the book. Okay? Everything. In fact, when I proofread, I get PDFs. I don't use Word documents when I proofread most of the time. I get PDFs because they have already set up the formatting for the interior of the book. They're literally ready to go to press. My job as a proofreader then is the very last stage. I am checking to make sure their punctuation throughout is correct. Yes. But I'm also making sure headers are all the same, indents are all the same. If you use a drop cap every chapter beginning, there's a drop cap every chapter beginning. I'm making sure that names are spelled correctly throughout, consistent. I just proofread for an author who is in Canada, and he had some British spelling for certain words and American English spelling for certain words. You need to be consistent. So if you are using British spelling because you're in Canada or Britain or wherever for like a word like favorite, that in Britain has the extra U and in America we don't put that extra U, that's fine, but you need to be consistent. A proofreader is going to check for all of those things. Because I edit Christian manuscripts, I also check scripture at the very end. Sometimes your editor isn't doing that. I don't know why they're not doing that, but your editor should be doing that, checking all of your scripture and comparing it to make sure it's a direct quote. Any direct quotes that you have should be checked by a proofreader. It should be checked by every editor you have along the process. So I check for all of those things. Proofreading is not just one last look at it to make sure all the punctuation is correct. Proofreaders do much more than that, but it is the very last stage. So if you still haven't formatted your book, or you still don't know what even size book you're going to do, or you're probably not ready for proofreading. Proofreading is the last stage before publication. Okay. So let's recap. When you're done writing your manuscript and you can't look at it anymore, you have a rough draft. You're going to start with an alpha reader or a beta reader, someone who is knowledgeable in the English language or whatever language you're writing in, and the structures of the English language. So grammar. I'm going to start with those people. That can be a paid person, that could be a free person, that could be a critique group or a critique partner. Make sure they have some expertise. They've either done alpha and beta reading before, they are your critique partners from decades, years. They're an English teacher or someone who has a good mastery of the English or whatever language you're writing in. Someone like that. Secondary is going to be a content editor or substantive editor, big picture. Third is going to be a line or copy edit, which is line by line. You could go through several passes of that. In fact, you should go through several passes of that. Then once you have your formatter or whoever is formatting your book, go through your book and it's ready to publish, get yourself a proofreader, someone who's going to check for all of those little inconsistencies, make sure everything is consistent throughout, and then you're actually ready to publish. So make sure that you click subscribe to follow. I'm going to be having some more videos coming up. I know I've been a little lax. And use the bell to get notifications. And make sure you follow me. All my links are down below. Thanks. Have a great day.